Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Krishna
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Shri Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Shri Sarabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vasaram pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome once again to our ongoing sessions. Pariprashnena Sevaya. We have just a few short announcements. I am happy to report that today we had our first tutorial for the teachers connected with Varnashram College online. We've been talking about the upcoming opening, the grand opening, official inauguration of Varnashram College online, which will be happening on the 15th of May. And there's a lot of preparations naturally ongoing on the part of the organizers, the administrators, the program leaders, and the teachers themselves. There's a whole competition that is brewing up even now as to which medium might be better. We will Skype it or Zoom it or whatever, Google it. There are different ways in which one can utilize these facilities on the internet for getting across in different ways. As devotees, we have many messages to get across actually to our own devotees to begin with and to the general public as well. I was pleasantly surprised to receive an invitation today from one devotee in California, Balimardan Prabhu, to participate in one of their ongoing online virtual classes as well. So it is happening everywhere. We can and should, of course, take advantage, but I should point out one important thing. Although these different gadgets and material facilities are there and we can utilize them in Krishna consciousness, we should be cautious in becoming overly dependent on these facilities. And within the greater context of our ISKCON society, I am sensing that there are some dangers in that respect. We should know that our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, wanted us to revive and actually become exemplary in showing the more simple and natural way of living and of communicating amongst ourselves, of building relationships And therefore, in this whole frenzy that is ongoing all over the world, and we are not out of it. I mentioned some few days back how the head of the World Health Organization had warned. This is, just within less than a week ago, had warned that we have yet to see the worst with this whole, COVID-19. And therefore, we should be cautious not to be on the frenzy to just become overly specialized in this whole, computer-oriented internet facility, and forgetting the basis and the basics of what our Vedic culture is teaching us, which is developing a lifestyle that is very much reflecting the original lifestyle exhibited and demonstrated by none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, Lord Krishna. So if we overly become specialized, this is a disease of the modern age, one of the major diseases of modern day society, and I think Albert Einstein made some comments to this effect as well. We have developed all kinds of specializations, and this is in one sense good, but on the whole I would say there are probably more dangers than otherwise. And in the overall context of our ISKCON society and where we are going today, in dealing, for example, with this whole crisis that is affecting each and every devotee and each and every person in the world today, if we overly become specialized, if we overly become focused and centered on the internet, there are major dangers. There are major dangers. We should simultaneously, and this has been a, I would say, drawback and weakness since so many years within our ISKCON society, in that we have not yet sufficiently given or shown credence to the words and the instructions and the expectations and the desires and the clear-cut mission as expressed on many, many occasions by our founder Acharya, is to develop self-sufficient communities. And in many ways, what is happening today around the world should bring us very clear and deep realizations about the need and the urgent need, I would say, the urgency of giving equal time, of giving equal time, if not more, to develop these communities. We have been taking so many things for granted, isn't it? We've been taking the facilities of modern life for granted. Getting in a car, going to the market, or going to our job. Now our job situation has changed drastically. Many people are without jobs now. The level of unemployment rather, I believe in the US has gone up to 19, if not over 20%. And in other countries, probably higher. Many things that we have taken for granted, all of a sudden, actually, practically overnight, were taken away from us. And those who became, and that's the majority of us actually, overly dependent on these things that we take for granted, all of a sudden, when they're taken away from us, for example, a lot of liquor shops are closed because it's not considered in most countries as a necessity. But that's creating all kinds of problems for people who are needing to drink, who are addicted to drinking. This is one of so many examples can be taken. The point I'm making is the following. If within our ISKCON society, as devotees, we react to this whole pandemic situation in such a way that we put all of our eggs in one basket. Danger. Maha danger, great danger is there. Because this should be an incentive for us to simultaneously convince as many devotees as possible, congregational members as possible, that you see, Srila Prabhupada has taught us, we cannot depend on modern day society, artificial arrangement that has been set up and that can be taken away from us practically instantly. Please hear this carefully. Now you're able to hear me through this internet. What if tomorrow morning that internet facility is no longer there? Then what? What if tomorrow morning this electricity is no longer there? Then what? If we put all of our energy in developing this really very specialized area of communication while neglecting something that is so basic as how to provide in a simple way for our own basic needs and necessities of life, we are increasing our dangerous situation. We're creating a very, very dangerous situation for all of us. Therefore, the need, and I've emphasized this on a number of occasions, the need to balance the spiritual and the material. We cannot foolishly neglect the material. This was an instruction given to us a few days ago by Srila Prabhupada himself. We will not imitate Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in simply becoming situated on the Mahabhava platform. This is a very important matter which all devotees should be giving thought to, and especially those who are leaders, whether on the temple level or on the family level, for example, in your own homes as parents, or within our ISKCON society as regional secretary or GBC member, whatever. This is an extremely important point that Prabhupada stressed again and again, the need to balance. And that's why Varnashrama Dharma, when properly understood and when properly applied, helps to bring this balance between our social duties and responsibilities, as well as our ashram duties and responsibilities. That is a natural blend that is there, the Varna, the social divisions, social duties and responsibilities, and the ashramas, where the spiritual dimension is being emphasized. If we don't create this blend, if we don't go in a direction where these two are being addressed simultaneously, we will be in severe difficulty. Somehow, I'm speaking on this point. Why? Because more and more of us, myself included actually, we are starting this Varnashram College online, which is very much in line with this whole increased activity all over the world, within ISKCON as well as outside of ISKCON society. But beware of creating an imbalance. We already have a major imbalance. We already, as a society, have a major imbalance in that how many of our communities, how many of our rural communities are able to maintain themselves, you see, without external help or assistance. That is the meaning of self-sufficiency. That is the meaning of sustainable, self-sufficient communities. Very few. And we have, looking at the number of devotees that we have all over the world, we have very, very small percentage of these self-sufficient communities. So therefore we are way behind, and if we don't take advantage of the situation that has been created, by the arrangement of nature, by Krishna ultimately. These are natural reactions. Then, if we don't learn our lesson now, we may not be able to learn it next time around. So this is my humble request, and now we will hear directly from our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada on some of these topics. And today we are reading from a new chapter. This last chapter was actually very quite long, dealing with that was chapter 37. We read a few paragraphs only. Actually, there are over 15 pages, and that title was Varnashram System Must Be Introduced. Today we go to chapter 38. And by the way, what I'm reading from this book, speaking about Varnasrama, is available on the database, isn't it? On the folio. So therefore you can read it online as well. Chapter 38 is entitled 4 Varnas to Solve 4 Problems. There you go. 4 Varnas to Solve 4 Problems. And this is an evening darshan given by Srila Prabhupada in Sridham Mayapur on the 15th of February, 1977. Some of the themes: ISKCON Farm Report. Actually, this is something I would like to request. We have a number of farm communities around the world, although not so many, but whatever community is there, whoever possibly is listening in, or whoever knows devotees living in such communities, we very much would like to hear or receive reports from these devotees. Actually, one should be writing regular reports on activities so that others can know and understand what is happening, and so that we also, those who are living in these communities, can appraise and analyze what progress is taking place, what is lacking, etc. And next theme in this chapter on Varnasrama Farm Project, 4 Varnas solve 4 problems of social life. So another theme Prabhupada speaks on: farm development means Krishna and Balaram. Farm development is Krishna and Balaram. And then a few things about Indian farm life. Of course, we say Indian farm life because Srila Prabhupada, being from India, was more familiar with the situation in the farms or in the villages of India. But many, if not most, of the basic components or aspects of village life in India are also to be found in any village around the world. And then Prabhupada will be speaking here in this chapter, British railway improvements. What does that mean? British railroad improvements, a trick to ruin localized economics and exploit India. Heavy statement, but actually the reality. That's a whole subject matter in itself. So let's hear, yes, directly from Srila Prabhupada. So this was an exchange. Actually, Srila Prabhupada was receiving some reports from different devotees, especially it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj giving a report on the ISKCON Farm project of Gita Nagari in North America, where devotees had given or sent a report describing their different activities. And Srila Prabhupada was very keen and very happy actually to receive this report, and then very good report. It is worth seeing. If we develop our farms in India on this basis, it will be very nice. We have got greater land. He was referring to the farm community actually in Hyderabad, where we had over 600 acres of land. Similarly, we can develop farm here. Also, farm development is Krishna and Balaram. Krishna is tending cows and Balaram is plowing. So, one department is plowing, means agriculture, producing food, and the other one is looking after cows. So that was Krishna's particular area. Therefore, the plow and flute. Flute for tending cows and plow for agriculture. Krishna Balaram. In Africa also you have got good opportunity for these farm projects. Actually, yes, Brahmananda was there also, who was preaching in Africa at that time. And then Prabhupada goes on, yes, farm project is very nice. Krishna gives. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. Bhagavad Gita 18:44. Farming, cow protection, and trade are the natural work for the Vaishyas. This is economic problem solved. And Brahmana, brain problem solved. And Kshatriya, protection problem solved. And Shudra, labor problem solved. 4 things combined together. Live peacefully, happily. Chant Hare Krishna. Introduce this farm project. In America, there is enough scope. So much land is lying vacant. And if there are jungles, cut the jungles. Use the wood. Just like our Virginia, big jungles. You cut some of the wood and you get some open ground, open field, and utilize the logs for house making. Prabhupada is not saying here to cut the whole forest. You cut some wood for your, that's a basic principle. Use only what you need. Use only what you need and, or produce. Produce what you need and use only what you produce. Very important instructions. You cut the wood, you get your open field and utilize the logs for making house, food, shelter, everything there. Everything, complete arrangement by Krishna. We fail to understand this very simple formula. Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge, Vedic teachings are giving us simple formulas. But we are so dull that we cannot assimilate, cannot understand these simple formulas. So Prabhupada is telling here, complete arrangement by Krishna. We have to work just little. Then he quotes from Bhagavad Gita, Sharira yatrapi chate na prasidyad akadmanaha. From 3:8, perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. If you sit idly, then you'll starve. Otherwise, everything is there. Actually, in all of our projects, just like in this project where we are in South India, SSKBK, if anyone stops, and that's the problem, we generally don't stop. We're not properly or sufficiently observing what is around us. We have immense opulence. Even to have one tree in one's yard, to have one tree, even ordinary tree, what to speak of a fruit tree. Even one tree is so much of opulence because a tree provides so much freely. Simply you have to plant the seed and water that tree so that it will grow. Here at SSKBK we have hundreds, if not thousands, of trees. And they were all here when we came, practically. We tried and we did succeed in growing some trees, but to a large extent, these trees were already here. So very often when we get some property, when we get some land, nature provides in abundance. And if we simply know how to properly care for the gifts that Krishna is giving us, then Krishna will reciprocate. He will give more. We are not sufficiently doing this at SSKBK, for example. We fail to understand what all of us, in any community that we have, we should be understanding that actually Krishna is giving us this opportunity to look after this land. This is Krishna's land. This is Krishna's garden. In our case, we have Krishna and Balaram. This is Krishna and Balaram's 15 acre garden. So when we speak about keeping the temple clean, the temple is not simply where the deities are. The temple means the whole property that belongs to Krishna should be kept immaculate, should be neat and tidy, so that anyone who comes, they will be able to experience the beauty of the place, you see. And if we fail to do that, then we make the place unattractive, although by nature it is attractive. Simply due to our intervention, by not being responsible, we make it non-attractive. We are the ones who actually are non-attractive because we're not sufficiently developed in consciousness. Just to finish on this section here from Srila Prabhupada, you work a little and you get all your necessities. Ekoyo bahunam vidadati kamam, from the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. The Supreme Lord maintains innumerable other individual living beings. That one person, God, He's supplying everyone. Whatever necessities, you have to simply work little. That is material world. In the material world, you have to work. And then there was one last question being asked here by Tamal Krishna Maharaj about the railway station. And this is where Prabhupada mentions how it was a trick. And these Britishers, they introduced railway and drew everything in the villages to the town. And they would not sell in the villages because they would get good price in the city. They take everything from the villages. Otherwise, in the village, everything was very cheap, very, very cheap. Milk, vegetable, rice, dal, everything. And the Britishers, they had no food. They have got only the potato. In England, what do they produce? No food. So everything was exported. Their policy was to supply manufactured goods and take raw materials from India. So they supplied cotton goods. They saw that all Indians are using cotton cloth. Iron they introduced. They introduced railway line, all iron, the carriages, the wheel, the road, everything. So we will close here for today. Next session will be chapter 39 and a very interesting title that I will keep for tomorrow. So now we will look at some of our questions here. Let's see. Yes. So we are on our 30th session today, the 29th of April, and we are replying to question number 90. This is a question that is coming from Michigan, Detroit. One of our devotees who's been asking a number of questions, Jayabal Prabhu. So he has actually two questions. I'm having two challenges moving towards village life. That's good. Some people probably have more. So what are those two challenges? Number one, lack of support from immediate family members. He may be talking about himself or in general, because he puts under brackets spouse. So yes, that is not at all uncommon, especially in Kali Yuga. We have family situations where the members have different views, different understanding, and this is one of the maladies, we could say, very major challenges in modern day families. Traditionally in the Vedic culture, because proper training was there for both the young boy and the young girl, therefore one was trained to develop a very similar world view. The world view for a devotee is that we're in the material world temporarily, and our main goal is to actually reawaken our lost or forgotten consciousness that we are eternal servants of Krishna, and that we should be doing our utmost by simplifying our lives to reawaken and develop this higher consciousness so that we can become qualified, ideally in this lifetime, to go back home, back to Godhead. So therefore in the Vedic culture, the children who are brought up in this very very advanced understanding of the purpose and the aim of life, they were very obedient as children to their parents. The wife was also very obedient to the husband. The husband was trained to take the responsibility of all the family members, and that is why even to this day we have the expression Swami Stri. Swami Stri is also there. That expression, same expression, is there in a country like Indonesia, where they have so many terms actually, because the Sanskrit language is embedded within their regional languages, especially on the island of Java. On the island of Java, which is having the largest population, most populated island of the 17,000 islands of Indonesia. 17,000 islands are there. And Indonesia is the fourth largest population, has the fourth largest population in the whole world after the US. China, India, although very soon it will become India and China, then USA and Indonesia. So over 100 million people live on one island. And it's not that big of an island. There are other islands like Sumatra or Kalimantan, etc., much, much bigger. On that island of Java, majority people speak what is called Javanese. Not Japanese, Javanese, Java. There are many dialects. Each province practically has, similar to India as well. So the idea is that culture is something very essential, and connecting with the point being discussed here, the more we are away from that Vedic norm where there is this natural harmony, natural unity within a family, then there will be, of course, obstacles in opting for this kind of more simplified lifestyle. So every situation will be different. Therefore, it is the responsibility of those members in a family who are fortunate to be knowledgeable about this culture of Krishna consciousness, who may be more enlightened in terms of the basic principles and concepts that are explained by our acharyas, beginning with our own founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And therefore, it is a reality of life that some families, because of this differences that are there between some of the family members, may not immediately be ready to take up this kind of lifestyle. Therefore, one should try to gradually introduce these concepts. One can do this in many different ways by hearing and reading about the subject matter of Varnashrama Dharma, of self-sufficient communities. One can also be visiting. Of course, in some countries we have so few that such communities that it may not be possible. Somehow or other, one needs to try to bring up the awareness amongst the members of one's family. Obviously, one needs to relocate with the family members if one is choosing this option. So it is a challenge, definitely, because of the whole modern lifestyle. People in family, although they may be living under the same roof, they are, just like in America, practically every member of the family has his own television because there are so many channels to choose from. Not like in the early days, there was only one or two channels, and then one would simply look at that. So, although these challenges are there, Krishna consciousness is so wonderful that it is teaching us how to meet these challenges, how to prepare ourselves in terms of being more patient in dealing with family members who may be reluctant or hesitant to take up to Krishna consciousness more fully, or who may still not be understanding the benefits that are there in actually becoming localized in a farm community or in a village. So one needs to learn how to deal with this situation by associating with devotees who are more clear, who are more convinced about the need to be living this lifestyle. Then this will help individual members. So that was one of the drawbacks being mentioned here by Jayaval Prabhu. And let's see. The second one, water crisis. Though we are depending on nature and praying to Krishna for rain, but if the neighbors are using machinery or modern way to dig bore well, how to overcome these critical challenges? Yes, These are problems. These are limitations that are there, and one needs to, again, use the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to deal as much as possible with the situation. Knowing, for example, that many people are using bore wells, then one should try to get land which is far away from bore wells. One can also try to introduce our philosophy of Krishna consciousness so that people can reduce their use of bore wells. Just like now, I mentioned a few days ago how India, the central government will be or has already instructed the farmers to minimize or cut down by 50% the use of chemical fertilizers, you see. So that is also part of the problem. If I become organic, if I grow food without using any chemical fertilizers, but if all my neighbors are using chemical fertilizers, then I'm in trouble. Yes, still, one should be, there are certain precautions that one can take, because when one prepares, the whole science, isn't it, in doing Vedic farming, by soaking the seeds, for example, in ghee and other mixtures, so that from the very beginning, as soon as this seed germinates, then and giving proper ingredients, natural ingredients within the soil, compost made from cow dung and cow urine, all of these techniques that have become in the last few years, especially here in India, more in vogue, using this Jivamrita, for example. There's Bijamrita and Jivamrita. There are so many terms that describe actually Bijamrita. I was mentioning Bija means seed. How even before putting the seed in the ground, there are ways to actually give maximum chance or opportunity for that seed to grow and become produce plants that are very healthy. So preaching is what Krishna consciousness is all about, and therefore we should endeavor to do that. We ourselves should go on chanting the holy name, because it is by performance of yajna. Not only the chanting of the holy name, different other activities in line which are prescribed in the Shastra, that is also yajna, but especially the chanting of the holy name, even if neighbor is not following the Vedic system, then Krishna, seeing our sincere efforts, he will help in different ways. So one needs to plan out, considering all of these very difficult challenges and unusual factors by which we are surrounded. But I know of not only devotees but non-devotees who have introduced natural farming, and although all of their neighbors were using chemical fertilizers and pesticides, they were actually able to succeed. One gentleman actually, in one of our surveys conducted as we visited different villages here in India, he was one of the local leaders, and he was explaining that he introduced some 3 years back. It took him 3 years to actually return or convert from modern day farming using all kinds of chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. And the first year his production was down. The second year it came up by 20-30%. The third year it came up by 60%. And in this way he could understand that by using the natural techniques, even though others in his village were not using them, he was getting good results. We have a number of experts actually within our ISKCON society who are familiar with proper techniques and ways by which we can create a situation that will be the most favorable. Of course, ultimately, just like Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 factors that always determine the outcome of an activity. The person performing the activity itself, the place of activity, the circumstances, other factors involved, and then the last and most important factor is the Krishna factor. So if Krishna wills and desires, the desired result will be there. And if Krishna does not, then it will not be there. So therefore, as devotees, that is an important aspect of learning to depend on Krishna, but not learning to depend by not on our side making the necessary efforts necessary that will, as the saying goes, the Lord helps those who help themselves, isn't it? Ye etam mam prapadyanti tam sataiva bhajami aham. Krishna explains that according to one's surrender, as one surrenders unto me, then I reciprocate accordingly. So hopefully this will be of some assistance. There are different ways also. Normally, of course, the water is coming from underground, but one can learn to save water. There's techniques in what is called watershed management, which a devotee, knowing the very dangers that are there because of modernized agriculture and the completely ever-increasing depleting levels of the water, underground water. So therefore, dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mami prayantite. Krishna gives those who are his surrendered devotees the necessary intelligence to cope with all of these difficult situations. So if we simply properly hear the good instructions that Krishna is giving, if we fully depend on the system and the prescribed processes that are given in our Shastra, then Krishna will help us to cope and deal with these different situations. This is our local dog who is, for some reason or other, disturbed. So we are having a few minutes left. Let's see here if we have. We can go to another question. Question number 33. This is from Rishi Kumar Prabhu from the Gulf country. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is the question: can we reach to the level of what is called Vivardha Sattvaya? That is in Srimad Bhagavatam 4:21-51. Why is Varnasrama important to increase our level of Vivardha Sattvaya? Can we reach to that level without following Varnasrama Dharma? 4:21-51. Actually, we know that 4:21. We know that as devotees, our goal is to become completely Krishna consciousness. 4. Yes. So I'm just looking up this reference here. 4:21:51. Okay, just one small second here. 4:21:51. This is the verse. Adyanas tamasa paras payopa sadita prabho Ramyaitam nasta dristinam kamabir daiva sammitai. So this is these are instructions by Prithu Maharaj. And these are words spoken by some of the citizens in his kingdom. Today you have opened our eyes and revealed how to cross to the other side of the ocean of darkness. By our past deeds and by the arrangement of superior authority, we are entangled in a network of fruitive activities and have lost sight of the destination of life. Thus we have been wandering within the universe. So this expression is not in this purport. So if I understand the question properly, why is Varnashram important? To help devotees rise to the desired platform of Vishuddha Tattva. Actually, Varnashrama Dharma is especially meant to, it is arranged in such a way that everyone's life is molded so that one can make progress toward Sattva-guna, toward the mode of goodness. And this mode of goodness is the platform from which one can rise above the mode of goodness to the mode of Vishuddha Tattva, or pure goodness. Therefore, for the vast majority of people, this system of Varnashrama is the ideal system to gradually rise one to that higher platform. However, we should mention, because that is also explained by our acharyas, one may take directly to the chanting of the holy name and immediately rise to that platform. But that is very rare. That is not the case for the vast majority of people. Small example. We could say big example. Srila Prabhupada, when first going to America and introducing Krishna consciousness, he was clearly indicating and explaining that I am traveling to different countries to actually get those who are, or attract those who are ready to become brahmanas. I'm trying to train up brahmanas. So therefore, that was Srila Prabhupada's primary focus. After some time, Srila Prabhupada made the following observation. We are seeing that actually, although so many people are being raised to the platform of being brahmana, even amongst some of our own sannyasis, they are not able to maintain. And also, the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not only for brahmanas. It is not only to train up individuals to become brahmanas. Although brahmanas are essential in that they are the ones who are meant to give guidance and to show example to the rest of the society. So the point is that And this Prabhupada explained on a number of occasions, it is not so easy to become Vaishnava. We were talking about this just yesterday or the day before, quoting directly from a conversation that Srila Prabhupada had. It is not so easy to be Vaishnava. Therefore, Varnasrama is that ideal system as given, as created by Krishna to facilitate us to become Vaishnava. And of course, pure Vaishnava is someone who is on this Vishuddha Tattva, on the level of pure goodness. But as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, we were quoting this statement from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur a few days back, wherein he explains that actually Varnasrama Dharma is that system created by Krishna for the Vaishnavas in their conditioned state. So therefore, even someone who takes up to Krishna consciousness, who takes up to the practices of Vaishnavism, still should work within the prescribed system of Varna and Asrama. And especially, which is a dimension that we especially fail to appreciate or to understand, we just don't understand this point. That society, Vedic culture. Vedic society, Vedic culture means agrarian society, agrarian lifestyle. It doesn't mean that somebody who's not living in the village cannot become Krishna conscious. But it means that actually the vast majority of people are meant to be living this simplified lifestyle. That is meant to be, and this is important to know, that is meant to be the norm in society, agrarian lifestyle. Urbanization is not meant to be the norm. Leaders around the world are trying to establish urban living, urbanization as a norm. This is a defect. This is promoting adharma. We should know this as devotees. This is adharmic. And therefore, the more we understand this point, we will be making endeavors to actually revive or return to the original lifestyle as shown, demonstrated, again, so often repeated by Srila Prabhupada, by Krishna himself. Vrindavan lifestyle. Therefore, make Vrindavan. Therefore, make Vrindavan villages. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Sravana, Mathura Vasa. What is Mathura Vasa? We don't have time to explain in detail, but part of Mathura Vasa means not only to visit Mathura, not only to live in Mathura, but actually to create, physically create Mathura Vrindavan. And who lives in Mathura Vrindavan? Devotees. Who lives in Mathura Vrindavan? Cows. What happens in Mathura Vrindavan? Everyone's engaged in glorifying Krishna, remembering Krishna. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. All engaged in devotional activities, but in connection with the land, in connection with the cows. We have to close today. We thank you again very much for sending in questions. Please continue to do that. And please visit our website, www.varnashramcollege.com. And within the next few days, we should be coming up with more information. The full website will not be available, or the full content of the website will only be available when we have the inauguration on the 15th of May. But a few things we are hoping to make available even before that time. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.